The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by the Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho.
All right, let's get it on. Live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk, hosted by Byron Jones and Victor Arocho. Brought to you by the Sportscast. Today is February 27th, 2025. Wow, it's flying. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Sportscast on all our channels, YouTube, X, Spotify, and iTunes. We're also streaming on your favorite podcasting streaming service. If you don't mind, please leave us a rating. It's called the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. Leave us a rating and a review. It'll help us out tremendously. And if you want to, please smash the like button, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, hit the notifications, and you'll find that every time we're either live, and you can go back to hear some past shows and some great analysis. And I think you'll find interesting some of the battles that we had that came forward, come true, and then some of them we were off the beat. And we have some special guests coming on the show right now, so let's bring them on. But before we do that, Mr. Byron Jones, how's it doing over there?
Oh, wonderful, man. We're almost like Florida, 60 degrees. You know, people walking around in shorts and T-shirts around here, and then all of a sudden
it's cold for us.
Yeah, I know, man. Well, it's like a heat wave now, 60 degrees. So now it's raining
30
now.
just like a couple weeks ago, no?
30, man. It was less than that, man. It was like in the teens.
Oh
and get ready to go to Poconos on Sunday. So I'll be up there. So we'll see if it's cold up there again.
Yeah, we're about to get in the heat wave coming. So, all right, let's get some of our guests into the show. Let's bring in Mr. Papa Paul, and then we got Mr. Dave Hellman, correct? All right. Papa Paul is from the WCFL Dolphin podcast, and he'll tell us a little bit about his show a little bit later. And we have Mr. David Hellman. Is it Hellman or Hellman? Hellman. I apologize. I can't. I see an I. So you help me pronounce that correctly. From the Dynasty Dorks, and he's actually live at the NFL Combine. Gentlemen, welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
And David, how do I pronounce your last name so I pronounce it correctly? I apologize.
He's on mute.
You're on mute, David.
Yeah, sorry, connection issue. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. It's been a fun day at the Combine.
And how do I pronounce your last name so I pronounce it correctly?
Heilman.
Heidelman?
Yep.
Heilman. Okay, good. I saw the I, but I got bad sight, so it looked like it was two L's. So welcome to the show, gentlemen, and we got a lot to talk about. But while you're at the Combine, how's it looking out there? I understand one of the players or one of the kids got hurt. They're not kids, but big men got hurt from Penn State. How's it going with that?
Yeah, so of course, Drew Rosenhaus is trying to do some damage control. They said that he has a stress reaction, not a stress fracture. There was conflicting reports yesterday. Well, like in the middle of the night, it came out, said he's going to have surgery. Then this morning, they said he's not going to have surgery, and he's going to work out at the pro day.
Did that take place at the Combine, or was that something that he was coming into with?
It sounds like he was coming in with it, because he didn't do he wasn't planning on doing any of the drills anyways. So it was just medical. Came up during the medical.
Interesting. And Byron, we talked at one time. Remember when they had the Combine? I think was it during COVID when they all had it at their own schools. Remember they had to go different. They were running at their own place instead of coming to a different place, right? Yeah. And we kind of felt that. What are your thoughts on that, Papa Paul? We kind of felt they perform better in their own place than they do if they're going under one on site.
Well, it's a place they're more comfortable with, of course.
Yeah. So I wonder if I think it benefits the players, but you would think that it would benefit the teams, right? They get to see them in their own atmosphere without worrying about having more nerves on their side. What are your thoughts on that, Byron?
Yeah, but you want those guys, when they go to the combine and everything, to put them under a little pressure, because they have the interviews where they're going to talk,
Good point.
a chance to, talk to these guys. And, when they go to, their school, they're probably, not going to have a chance to get a lot of other stuff going on. But yeah, you want to see how they're going to function outside of something that is not normal for them.
Interesting. And David?
Yeah, well, the combine was put together for the medical reasons, so they could, everybody share the same information. Kids aren't getting, 15 different X-rays from different places and stuff. And yeah, at their own pro day, a little home cooking is probably good, but some of those 40 times are a little faster when your coaches are the ones that are pressing that button. And I think the biggest thing,
ran a 4.3.
That's what I heard. The biggest thing is, when you look at the Senior Bowl, you look at the combine, you see people.
Is that you? Did you freeze, Dave?
Yeah,
I think you froze up. What are you looking to see out of the combine, Papa Paul?
Just versatility. Just basically what they can show being in a place they're not used to.
Right. Dave, I'm sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, it's just, the competition. You want to see how guys stack up, how they look next to each other, those kind of things.
So, and is there anybody? So Shador Sanders, I'm assuming, is there, right? Have you had a chance to see him?
He's tomorrow. So tomorrow's quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. So all your fantasy football, that's going to be fun. So the way they do it is media tomorrow. They'll do their medical tomorrow, and the next day they'll work out. So they'll do their workout on Saturday. Today was tight ends and defensive backs. And so tomorrow that's who's working out.
I'm just curious to see when you see him how because he doesn't look too big on TV, so I can't imagine him being too big in person.
No, and I got to go to the combine when we had, Anthony Richardson, and he looked like a giant, because they put him in, you have all the quarterbacks are out there, so he looked like a giant compared to the other quarterbacks. And Bryce Young was on the opposite side, looked real small. And, Will Levis and TJ Stroud were more like, okay, that's what they're supposed to look like.
Right.
And so you get to see the whole range, whenever you see them, and they're just walking around right next to you. Like Travis Hunter was walking around next to me today, and he's not a big dude. He's got some super skinny legs, and he does not look like he's this crazy athlete that he
All
is.
world, right? That's amazing. You would always think.
Who went today, Dave? Who went today?
So today, out of the workouts, was the linebackers and the defensive linemen. So edge and interior defensive linemen.
Those are some big boys.
Here's my question for a guy, because they brought him up today. I was listening about this kid, Shamar Stewart. How did he run from Texas A&M?
Yeah, he flew. His RAS score, Ken Platt does a nice job. Puts together. It's the third best RAS score of any edge ever out of 2,000 something people. Basically a perfect score. And what the RAS does, it's relative athletic score. Of course, smaller guys going to run faster 40s, those kind of things. It takes your weight. It's a weight adjusted speed metric. And so it's looking at all of his, the jumping and the running and saying, what are you doing against people your size? Or, and he was, he's awesome. If you listen to Daniel Jeremiah's conference call, he's, he loves this kid. He's got him going, in the top 20. I think most other places are more late first, early second, but Jeremiah, I think he's going to be a mover.
Well, the league has proven edge rushers is what you need, right, Byron?
Yeah, but the only problem with him, that another thing I saw, that he only had like 3 or 4 sacks his whole career at Texas A&M. So they're probably going to go by projection. Because he got the size, he's got the speed. So that once he gets to the next level, better coaching, whatever else entails, that he's going to be that guy. But he really didn't produce a lot. But when he ran, he's what 6'6", 281 or whatever. I think he ran a 4.59 40 or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty fast. That's really fast.
And Papa Paul, is anyone you're looking for that you'd like to see? Make sure you guys can get your hands on. What are the Dolphins looking to pick out of this combine?
Well, we got so many open spots right now with everything that's gone on. But there was one guy I was looking at, Pegasus, or I think is how you pronounce his last name. Pegaus. Yeah.
You have 10 picks.
We have 10 picks. I believe we're going to probably trade back and pick up 2 more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Dave, out of the edge rushers, you like that guy? Who else do you have? Anyone would you see as the next Micah Parsons?
Yeah, and that's Abdul Carter's always been getting the Micah Parsons. There's a Jalen, not Jalen Carter. There's a Jalen that worked out. He came in a little shorter than I think people were expecting, and I think that's going to affect him. It's Jalen Walker, edge out of Georgia. Normally your edges are 6'5" with freaky long arms, and he's not. And so he played linebacker, and he's a really good blitzer. And he comes in on pass rush packages and goes to the edge. I think based on his measurables, he's probably more of a linebacker than he is an edge. At 6'1", 240, 235.
Yeah, that's
but I think if he was more 6'3", 6'4", maybe we're talking something else. But there's a lot of guys that the kid from Marshall, he's real good. He's the kid that flattened the dude at the Senior Bowl and then just like left. He had the highlight, and then he left. But he's really good. And there's edges. There's plenty of edge, and if you're looking for some depth, defensive lineman. Daniel Jeremiah said that he's graded at least 20 defensive linemen that he's got a starter grade on. He says it doesn't mean they're going to be a surefire starter, but that's how he has them graded. And so if you're looking for a defensive lineman, which the Dolphins are, they're still trying to replace, Wilkins. You can get, it's not a position you have to, you don't have to take them in the first round because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
You can get one in the second or third round and then take a more premium position or one of the more shallow positions like tackle. It's a pretty shallow position this year. Corner, there's not a lot of outside corners. There's a lot of corners that can play nickel, a lot of safety combo kind of guys. Not a lot of outside corners. Like even Will Johnson out of Michigan, he was really touted coming into this year. He probably should have came out in the draft last year. Didn't have a great year. He was hurt. Kind of the way that the scouts describe it as, he just kind of he wasn't as aggressive in the running game. He wasn't as, it didn't seem like he was making business decisions is what they really came down to. And the year before, he had great tape, top 5 picks. So Will Johnson looks the part, and he's a guy that could be better. But it's a really good defensive line class. And the way Daniel Jeremiah described it today is it's a starter group. He said you probably got in the first, second, and third round, you got starters all over the place, but like it just doesn't have a whole lot of superstars.
Well, we need defensive linemen as Giants, don't we, Byron? We need defensive linemen. We need offensive line. I think we need a team. We need a GM. We need a GM. We need a coach.
Yeah, I saw Mark Ross today, and I said, "Hey, man, I need a favor. You need to call Jerry and get the boys, and we need you in New York because it's been tough for a long time."
Well, the good. That's nice to hear that there's linemen. It's sad that there's no corners coming out because my understanding over the last couple of years, they're saying that the safeties are going in the direction of where the running backs were. And I think the running backs are going to make another comeback based on what they saw this year with Derrick Henry and what happened with Saquon Barkley. But they were saying like the safety position is no longer, they're really looking for a lot more corners than they are safeties. So if you're saying that the cornerback selection isn't that good, that means the guys that have been picking cornerbacks over the last several years, like Kansas City, like Philadelphia, they've done a good job. They got, they secured those positions and I'm surprised not more coming out because they know that, right? They know that they need more corners. The way the league is being ran, there's way more receivers. The ball's being thrown a lot more. The defensive rules are more favorable to the offense. So, if I was a kid, I played safety. So I would just switch to corner because knowing that safeties are not going to be around. What are your thoughts on that, Byron?
Well, what about the kid from, I got two of them. Jaden Barron from Texas, about him. And my other one is Mason Graham. How'd he do? So I don't think he worked. Did he work out at all?
Yeah, Mason Graham worked out today. He's a guy that, he doesn't necessarily pass the combine eye test. He doesn't look like some of these other guys where they're, built like Greek gods, but he's, everyone loves him. They just said, just watch the tape. The tape doesn't lie. He pushes the pocket. He stuffs the run. He eats up blocks. He's someone that he may not go out there and put up, 9 or 10 sacks like Chris Jones, but he's someone that's going to be a plug in the run game, and he's going to make everyone around him better. If you were to put him on a team, those edge rushes next to him are going to be much better because he's in the middle.
Do you think he would be a top 5 pick?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to, the Patriots, they're looking at Mason Graham. They're looking at, they're looking at, Travis Hunter, but, they're looking at the tackle Will Campbell. But I don't think you get past the 5 pick with Jacksonville. Just makes a lot of sense. They've invested in the edge. They need somebody in the middle. And Taylor, a lot of mocks have him going there. He's kind of like Harrison Phillips or Ed Oliver. Those are kind of good comps for him.
Well, Travis Hunter is coming out like I thought, Byron. We had that argument. He's coming out as a receiver. He wants to play both sides, but he's coming out there. He's going into the draft as a receiver. Is that correct, David? Or did they change it?
Well, he's kind of, it really depends on the team. And so when he talked today, he did, interview today. He said, whatever they choose me at, I'm going to try to earn spots on the other side. It does seem like he's probably going to be more of a corner based on, most places have him as a receiver / corner, but it does sound like corner, and then he would play some snaps on offense. So like the Giants are mocked to get him quite a bit in a lot of places where he's not going to be out there every single snap like Malik Neighbors, but he's going to be on the field for, set, 15, 20 offensive snaps a game. Maybe that's what he wants.
Right. Well, the guy's a superstar. The guy is a superstar, regardless of. But my only issue, if it was me, if you see the money, where would you go? $37 million for the receiver, $15 million as a defensive back, right? So, I mean, if I was him, I would. I don't know, Paul. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and Byron, I want to hear yours because you mentioned it, and David, you were there. But I would just focus as a receiver, get somebody to take. Now, if they take me and they say, no, I want you as a defensive back, it is what it is, right? But why start the hoopla that you're going to be an issue of wanting to play both sides already? Some teams, some organizations don't like that. Like they're just purely like, you're not going to come into my team already, or the head coach is going to come into my team and start telling me I have to switch it. And then there's coaches that say, yeah, I want to bring you in. But if you just think about it, the receiver position gets paid twice as much as defensive back position, right? I think it's going to change over time because the better defensive backs hold down these $38 million receivers, but it doesn't look like they can because, I mean, you know that Justin Jefferson is always open, and he's getting the ball. So how does he still get open?
Teams moving to so many, they're doing the shell coverage, so the safeties are so deep, and the corners. They're really playing a lot of zone, and so we're not, we don't have the Darrelle Revis kind of corners. There's a couple of them. Sauce Gardner and a couple, but there's just so
Patrick
many.
Surtain.
They just like you saw the Chiefs get rid of Ladarius Sneed, and they're like, we'll just move the next guy, and a lot of these top defenses, they don't really have a true number one corner like we used to see.
Well, Patrick Surtain is definitely a number one.
Yeah,
corner.
Patrick Surtain, good call.
And that's for sure. And but remember, he's also 6'2", and he's a big defensive back. I mean, that's the kind of cornerback you want. And then the young defensive backs for Philadelphia are good. Those two corners are really good, and they're like first-year guys. Byron, what were your thoughts on that? Because I know you said he was going to come in and pick him as defensive back. My only argument was about the money, right? I think he's got to play one or the other wherever he goes. What are your thoughts on some of the comments I made? One, teams don't like you or don't come into my organization already causing a hoopla, but then give them credit for saying, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
I think it all, like what Dave's brought up something as far as his size. You really don't know how big some of these guys are until you actually see them in person, and it's like, you know what? He's a lot smaller than I thought he is. And then as far as him, like playing corner full time, I've seen him, in college. He does come up and try to tackles people, so he will do that. But then if you put him at receiver, the way these defensive backs and the linebackers are, he has tremendous ball skills. Like, that he does have. But will that translate to the NFL where sometimes it's off script? There's some of the things that he does, and is it going to work in the NFL where these guys are going to be like, they're not going to fall for the old okie doke, stuff like that. So it's just, if it was me, I would want to play corner, and worry about that. And if they put me at 5-10 plays or whatever, at wide receiver, he can do that. But as far as like any more like out there on that field, nah. But I think he's going to be successful. I hope. If he goes
I think he's going to be successful. It's just a matter of where he's going to be successful at, right? And the only reason if I had to pick one of the two, you're talking about receivers are making big money. Papa Paul?
Well, I mean, I agree with a lot what you have to say. It's going to depend on how he gets drafted. He gets drafted as a receiver and he wants to play defense. It's going to depend on the team. If he gets drafted as a defensive player and wants to play offense as well, the team might just tell him point blank, we drafted you as a cornerback. That's what you're playing.
But but think about it. And Dave, you tell me, and Byron, you tell me. Byron played a game. You're over there, and Papa Paul, you got a lot of experience. If you're a team, why wouldn't you draft him as a defensive back? Because now you're tagging him at a salary level that you don't have to be as high later on as you would be if he's a receiver. The market for the receivers is double of a defensive back. As a businessman, why would you not be? If your first instinct is, I'm going to take you as a defensive back, I could always put you at a receiver later, but start you off as a defensive back.
Yeah.
Right. And just from a business perspective.
Yeah, he's interesting. I'm sure the agents and stuff would have some legal questions about that, but you had that with Jimmy Graham. I'm a pass catcher. I'm not a tight end. And, they said the same thing when Kyle Pitts was coming out. And so, Daniel Jeremiah said, if you get the same grade on Kyle Pitts versus Devonta Smith, then you take Kyle Pitts because you're getting, a guy that you have the same grade on for $10 million cheaper. And that's just on the franchise tag, not talking about that mega extension that comes after that.
Exactly.
I think you still would have rather had Devonta Smith based on what we know about it. But we didn't know that at the time. But I don't know if they can force their hand and call. They got to call a spade. And if he's going to be a corner, or they're going to announce his name, Travis Hunter, corner out of Colorado on draft night, and he plays 80% of the snaps at receiver, I'm sure the agent would have some legal questions.
Oh no, that's for sure. I'm not saying that let's draft him as a defensive back, then put him at receiver. I think he's going to get like is it right, Craig Tyson Hill, right? He plays
Taysom.
multiple positions. Taysom plays multiple
Taysom Hill.
positions, so he'll probably have incentives in his contract that if he plays X amount of time as receiver, right, he's going to get a lot more incentives and stuff like that. That I can see. I'm not saying that they're going to do a switch, a bait and switch. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that, look, I know the kid can play both positions, right? We know we need defense, right? And why not go after him as defensive back, where you're going to pay 80% of the time defensive back, so I could play you there and then put you some of the time as a receiver. If all of a sudden he becomes a breakout receiver, because Devontae Smith isn't a big guy either, right? And he does pretty well, right? So I mean, Travis Hunter could do just as well. The kid's an incredible athlete, like Byron says. His ball skills are incredible. Then I could see them making a switch. I also see them picking him in one position and giving away more incentives if he plays more snaps as receiver. I think Taysom Hill has the same thing if he plays quarterback or so forth. But you would think a guy like that would get paid more money, and they don't. They're more. They have more
It's like
uses.
Debo Samuel, when
Yeah.
Debo, he basically said, if you want me to run the ball, you need to give me that contract, because if not, like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Because he gets hit a lot more when you're running the ball.
And he got paid, and then they got Christian McCaffrey, and they stopped using him in the backfield, and I think Debo's probably out of town.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Sounds good. You're seeing these moves. They're talking about Giants trying to trade up for making a trade for Stafford. I mean, we were going to talk about that next. I'm just trying to make sure we make the best use of your time, David. But there's no conceivable reason I could see a Matthew Stafford going to the Giants.
No, I'm very concerned that Schoen and Dable are going to make desperate moves because they know their jobs are on the line, and it's going to set us back a couple of years. We're already, in a 10+ year drought. One playoff win in 10 years or whatever. But yeah, if they go and because today Benjamin Albright, and this is just a tweet, but he is he is an insider. He said, I can see a trade coming down in the top 5, and it could be a giant one, a Titanic one. And so he's referencing the Giants and the Titans, talking about, potentially Cam Ward trade. We've seen Shador Sanders with the Giants cleats. He wants to go to New York.
Really?
Yeah, he had the Giants cleats on, and when he was working out, and he showed up to the Madison Square Garden, got a big old. He wants to go there. Dion's pretty much said he doesn't want his kid going to Cleveland.
I don't blame him.
I don't know if he said anything bad about the Titans, but I believe he basically said, like, my kid's not going to play in Cleveland. He's going to pull an Eli Manning if that happens.
Which I don't blame them. They're terrible quarterbacks.
If the Giants trade for Stafford, it's also going to come with a big contract. So then all the flexibility we have in free agency, we're going to lose. And so if we give up, there's no way we give up pick 3 for Stafford. I don't think that happens.
I wouldn't do it.
It could be next year's first, or like a lot of these deals where they do it's a conditional. And so Stafford goes to the Giants. If the Giants win X amount, or he plays X amount of snaps, then it's a first-round pick. If he doesn't play X amount of snaps, the Giants give up a second round. Something like that. Instead of,
I don't think it's going to happen.
3 is just too much.
There's no reason for him to go there. I wouldn't go there.
No. The Giants are in bad
Shador's
shape.
at least he's young. He's got Malik Neighbors. We got Tracy as a running back, but we still need a lot of work everywhere else. And I don't like, Byron and I both said it. Shane and Shane or Dable should have been fired, but at least one of them should have been fired.
Yeah.
And now you just made a comment. Now they're going to make desperate moves that's going to set us back. And Byron, that was some of the conversation we had. Well, if we get rid of them, we're going to be starting all over. Well, if they don't do well this year, we're going to get rid of them anyways, and we're going to start all over again. I would rather have gotten rid of them this year, right? You saw what you did to Saquon. He comes back and wins the Super Bowl. Come on.
Yeah, we should be trading back, not up. We have, like you said, we got probably, 15 roster spots to fill. and we should be trading back and not trading up. And I just don't think that they're going to do that because they know that their jobs are on the line. And free
That's what
agency, they're
concerns
probably going
me.
to show their hand.
They're gonna make desperate moves to try to make an impact right now, and it's gonna hurt us. And again, I think that one of those guys should have been fired for what happened this year. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, they should.
Stafford is probably the best quarterback that potentially is going to start for us this year, but it's going to cost us too much.
No, it's too much. I don't blame him.
our-
I'm
our
happy to hear that
options
Shador wants it. I thought he was more into the Raiders. Papa Paul, who would you like to see getting picked? What would you want for your team? Which the first pick you want, and then Dave could tell you how they're doing out there.
Well, I mean, I see us trading back to about the 25th spot, and if he's still available, I could see us picking someone like Justin Simmons.
Really,
Josh Simmons out of Ohio State.
Yeah, out of Ohio State, Josh Simmons.
Yeah, he's coming off of an ACL injury. That's the only reason he's not really getting as much buzz. Right now, he's everyone's kind of third, fourth tackle. I think he's a plug and play starter either side for you guys, and you got Armstead's getting older.
And you talk about, you don't realize how big people are until you first meet them or something. Well, this last weekend I met Patrick Paul, and I'm 6'4" and a half, 313 pounds. Patrick Paul's 6'7", 6'8", 330 pounds.
Oof.
And going up to him and meeting him, as I told him, I said, look, I don't meet many people bigger than me, but you're one guy, and he's a real nice guy. I can't wait to see him start more.
So that's who you'd like for the Dolphins?
Yeah, Simmons.
Okay. What do you think about Simmons, David?
I think that'd be a great pick. There's a few linemen that are going to go in the first round, not many. Tackle's not necessarily a super deep class, and so that could be a position people trade up for. But I think he's going to come out at discount because of the injury. Teams don't necessarily want to buy, somebody, that's coming off an ACL injury with the top 15 pick. But, the way we've seen people coming off of ACLs, it's pretty normal these days. And kid's a great player.
What about the kid from North Dakota State? What do you think about him?
He's very similar to the kid that Tampa Bay drafted last year. He's got five position flexibility. I think left tackle might be a little hard just because of his body type. He's not a small guy, but he doesn't have the super long arms and some of the bend and things that you want with the left tackle. But this guy has played center, he's played left tackle, he's played right guard, he's played right tackle. And at the Senior Bowl, North Dakota State against Alabama and Georgia, he was putting people down, and he was, people were having a real tough time moving him. He was, they said that probably, Beck out of TCU was he was the MVP, probably the best overall, but Gray Zabel was probably the one that improved his stock the most. Probably going to be a late first, early second.
Huh. There you go, Papa Paul. There you go, the sleeper.
Hey, I'll take a sleeper all day long.
Yeah, Gray Zabel.
Exactly. I'll take a Brock. Shoot, as a Giant fan, I'll take a Brock Purdy.
If we were to somehow get Jackson Dart, where we take one of these, we trade back and then get Jackson Dart, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to go and I don't want to take Jackson Dart at 3. I don't want to trade, 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick to go get Cam Ward. Shador at 3 seems like that's a better fit than trying to, spend too much. But Jackson Dart's an interesting player. He played in USC, then went to Ole Miss, dominated at Ole Miss. And what's really nice about him is he's got that size and athleticism you're looking for in the new NFL. to where he's not just a statue in the pocket. He's not necessarily a Jalen Milroe, where Jalen Milroe is an absolute. He's a great runner, but Jackson Dart's got the good combination you're looking for, and yeah, he's got some warts in his game, and there's things that you go, okay, but like when you talk about ceiling, Jackson Dart's got just as much. You saw him get a 39-yard run, got a touchdown run in the Senior Bowl. Athletic kid, he just definitely needs some more polish. He's not used to playing under center, and so like the Senior Bowl, he struggled playing under center. I mean, not a lot of teams do that, and good coaches build their scheme around their players.
Right.
So basically we should take him at 3. If he's going to still be there, but I'm just saying we wouldn't take him at 3.
Jackson Dart, I would say that'd be a super reach, but I'd say he's a guy that he's not going to get past the Saints, the Steelers, those kind of teams. Like you could see him be up there. I think Dart's he's probably gonna go to the top 20. I'd be surprised if he lasted. He went to the second round.
And you don't think like with Shedeur Sanders that the whole Dion, not circus, but the whole thing around it, you don't think that would be too much for the New York Giants ownership?
I definitely am not. I'm a Jackson Dart guy. Trade back, get a first next year, give me the 15th pick, and I'll take Jackson Dart in the first, and not have to deal with the headache, because you're gonna have a headache on your hands. But Dion is gonna be a problem if you don't. Every time you lose a game, it's gonna be a problem, and we're gonna lose a lot of games, and then the contract is gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I can see I don't see. Look, for two things. I like Jackson Dart. I seen him now. He's also got some Manning background. He's from Ole Miss.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, Jackson Dart's that's one to look at. He's very
6'2".
Yeah, he's the third. I have him over Milroe by quite a bit. I'd say he's closer to the first two than he is Milroe.
Wow.
Milroe is just, and not just the small hands. He just, he's just not an accurate thrower. He just seems like he's more of a developmental player. But I think Jackson Dart's going to be good. I think he's going to be like I said, I think he's going to be someone like the Steelers or one of these teams that's in that 20s range. If Stafford moves on from the Rams, I think he could go somewhere, go to them.
I think the Rams are going to secure him. But I think you brought a good point up. I think the contract issue with Shedeur Sanders would be an issue. I could see that. But the other part of the circus, I don't see. Because, Dion has kept pretty good control over wherever he's been, right? It hasn't been a lot of controversy. He's been pretty direct. You know what I mean? He's taken stuff off his team, and he's won at every level. I see Deion Sanders as an NFL coach. And Shedeur, he's never been he's also portrayed himself as a good athlete when he's talking. He doesn't bring that kind of, Deion did what Deion did when he played, but that's what made him who he was, and that's what made him money. You know what I mean? But Deion, since then, he hasn't been that way. I mean, think about it. Would you really think Deion would be doing an Aflac commercial? I mean, come on with a duck. But I can see when the contract comes on, Deion's going to want to get paid, right? But
they're all slotted in. That you don't go in there like they did back in the day. I want $200 million. It's all one. This gets this, whatever it is. This gets this. This gets this, and that's it.
There's a few injury things that Joey Bosa took him until training camp to get figured out, but most of it's pretty much. I'm more talking about he's going to want him to get paid 2 or 3 years down the line, and hopefully he plays well enough to deserve it. Mm-hmm. But I think that the rookie contract is not going to be the problem. It's going to be the next contract. It's going to be,
That's what I was assuming. The rookie contract is what it is, right? It's the next contract, right? That's where Deion's going to come in and going to want to say something. But we'll see. Hey,
but
so
the only problem I have, like Shedeur Sanders, he to me, he just doesn't look too fleet of foot. Like his dad ran
Yeah,
a
he's not a
4.2 or
runner.
whatever.
Yeah.
He's not a runner like that. So he's going to need that, that offensive line that we don't have with the Giants, to hold up. And you got Malik Neighbors is going to do his thing, and Awanda Robinson, and they're going to have to find another two. Since Darius Slayton is probably going to be gone, but just it just doesn't seem like to me that he could get out of the way of the rush that the guys that they have now.
And he was behind a really poor offensive line there, but part of when quarterbacks take sacks, it's not always the offensive lineman's fault. You got to know to get rid of the ball, and unless you're Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson and you can go and run around and do crazy stuff, he's got to get rid of the ball. And he's a touch timing anticipation passer. So when everything's on schedule, he looks really good, and he's a lot more accurate than Cam Ward. But when things break down, that's when bad things happen, because he's just holds the ball too long, takes really big shots, or you get the turnovers. And again, like you said, he's not that big. You can't be taking all those big shots, and then you can't be turning the ball over. Throw out of bounds and live to play another down. He just doesn't have that patience in his game yet.
So have we seen who's the fastest one at the combine right
now? The kid out of Georgia, they're getting he's kind of like Jameson Williams vibes. Like right now, the fastest guy was a linebacker. That's because it was all linemen, defensive linemen, ran today. We're gonna get fast people on Saturday. Tomorrow, we're not gonna get fast people. It's tight ends. Be the fastest, maybe a 4.4. But there's some kids that are going to fly, and I think it's Orion or Arian Smith out of Georgia, and then Noel out of Iowa State. Those guys are 4.2 guys, and Jordan Blue out of Texas. They're not going to be going Xavier Worthy style, but they'll 4.2, 4.28, 4.29. They're going to be fast.
Piper, when we growing up, 4.4 was lightning.
Yeah, that was like, who you talking about? Shoot.
These are legit 4.2 guys. Speed. Jordan Blue out of Texas is a small, he's a more of a receiving back. He's gonna fly.
I like the kid out of Boise State too, the running back.
He's legit. I think Daniel Jeremiah always says you don't want to do what the Giants did and take a running back and put him on a bad team. You want it to be kind of the final piece. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of these teams in the top 10 to be drafting a running back. But if you get a team that is on the cusp of the playoffs or a legitimate playoff team, they go and add Genty. You look what happened with Saquon. He went to the Eagles and they were that much better. I mean, that team was falling apart in the playoffs the year before, first round, and then Saquon. But you go to a team that's already built, like the Ravens or the Eagles, and you plop that running back in, and especially on that, rookie 4 or 5 year contract. We'll see. I hope he doesn't go to Dallas for his sake, right?
Denver Broncos.
Broncos would be fantastic. That'd be like gold. The Chargers would be really good. I don't know if he lasts that long though. He's a good player.
Awesome. Papa Paul, what do you see happening with the Dolphins? Where you guys, what's going to happen this year? What do you need? Tua going to stay healthy? I mean,
that's a big question. I mean, if Tua can stay healthy for one, but there's so many holes to fill right now. If they do what they've been doing in the past year, we'll be lucky to win 5 or 6 games this coming year.
Man, you guys were already there too. That's the sad part. It was exciting. It was exciting for a bit.
This is a great draft if you want a running back.
Well, yeah. The running backs are coming back. I mean,
and I think I could see the way McDaniels is. I could see him drafting 2 more running backs. Because we really only have 2 running backs left. We've cut Mostert. Wilson's going to be a post-June 1st cut. So all we have is Wright and Achane.
Yeah, and Wright's a good player. But yeah, when you get And when you get depth at a position, that's going to create value down the road because, you don't have to take one in the first or second round because there's 15 of them.
Yeah.
Well, Byron, do you see that because of Saquon and what Derrick Henry did? Do you see like now the running backs pay is going to start going back up, or you think it's still going to be running back by committee?
I don't know. Because it's just, well, you figure those two guys are like generational type talents. Henry's been a beast for years, and Saquon, they knew from the door that he could be once he got the right position.
I'm sorry. Who'd you say? Who were you talking about?
That guy, number 26.
Byron was so upset with his deal. He hasn't said his name on like 90% of our shows, so he said it now. I just want to see it say it again.
Number 26. Yeah, they say it.
That's his favorite player.
No, I'm not even close. Not being around all these Philadelphia fans over here, man. It'd be killing me, man. I can't take it too much longer.
You should be just bowing and say you're welcome. That's it. What else can you do? I mean, why fight it?
I got to fight it. I can't help myself, man. I'm just a Giant fan, man. I got to do it.
Saquon didn't do it to us. We did it to us.
I know, but still, I got to still defend him.
And the way they handled it. I mean, David, I don't know how you felt, me talking to you as a Giant fan, but, I had pride being a Giant fan. And this was the worst I've ever seen this organization treat both Saquon and Daniel Jones, two star players. They treated them with no dignity.
Yeah,
and I was embarrassed to be a Giant fan for the first time in my life. And, normally I could always take pride. This is a good organization, this and that. But just the way they conduct themselves with the two most important positions and players that they paid the most for, and we got nothing in return. He didn't get any trade value, nothing.
Nothing in return. And, you look at, the team, and you look around the league and you see, they said, it was 5 years in a row that a former Giant has won a Super Bowl. But you look at Xavier McKinney had a great year. The Seahawks got Leonard Williams and Julian Love balling out. Saquon played really well. Like they leave us and do better, which is not a good sign of things. And they screwed up 2 years ago because they should have paid Saquon and they should have tagged Daniel Jones, and they did the opposite. And then they had to double down last year, and then of course it was on everybody's TV on Hard Knocks, and then the Mara's reaction of I'm not going to sleep if he goes to the division. The jokes wrote themselves.
Papa Paul, you should be proud. We've become the Dolphins. There was a point where every time Dolphins somebody would leave, he'd be a superstar somewhere else. Even Tannehill did better when he left. Wes Welker. I mean, I was named after name, and so and it's come back to haunt me because I'm like, why is it everybody leaves? Like the Dolphins are the farm system. Now the Giants are the farm system. Go to Giants, play a few years, go somewhere else, and you're a lot better player. So you have some of the commentators would come on TV and say, hey, the Giants did pretty well this year. Xavier McKinney. So he started naming everybody who wasn't playing for the Giants but were former Giants.
We're still a farm system for other teams.
Yeah,
we did have the other two duds though, Baker and the other guy Tony. So it kind of
Kadarius Tony.
Tony was that one definitely. Glad we got something back for him, even though it was Darren Waller. And Darren Waller retired. Made a bad rap video and retired.
Look, guys, you can sign Javon Holland on free agency.
I saw that.
Are you giving away players?
He's wanting too much money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Tua, man. He got his contract, and then bang, he gets injured. And he came back, but he came back on fire. You got to give him credit, right? I mean, he did come back. I think he had 18 touchdowns and 1 interception when he did come back.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the Dolphins. They do well because I live down here. But, every time I see Tua do something, I get nervous. Honestly,
You cringe. You
yeah, I
cringe.
don't want to see anybody get hurt like that. I mean, nobody does. I don't care. You cannot like someone that bad, not like someone that bad to see them get hurt. And just, he's like one hit away of something. So that's, God bless that. He doesn't get hit like that again, or he slides. I just don't understand how you see these superstar quarterbacks and they have no problem sliding, right? You're not that big. Slide. Right, you're not a Josh Allen. Josh Allen will run over you. Yeah, I mean, and look at Patrick Mahomes is a big boy too.
Tua is not.
Tua is not.
Never has been.
No, and he's always been hurt, even in Alabama. So we'll see. Hey, guys, what do you think about them trying to? There's a suit going on, getting rid of the tush push. Byron, I'm going to leave that to you. But I always thought you're not allowed to push a player anyways. I thought that was illegal to begin with. I understand the quarterback sneak. You're pushing through it. But they're calling it the tush push because he's being pushed from his behind, going forward. I didn't know you were allowed to help advance a player.
Yeah, we saw someone get like I wouldn't say body slam, but like the lineman grabbed the running back and gave him like a belly to back suplex into the end zone. And that was a touchdown.
You're not supposed to, you can't even pull a player forward. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just what's going to happen is it's going to keep sticking until somebody gets seriously hurt. And we did start to see some injuries, because some of those quarterbacks, they're on top of the pile and they take a big shot to the head. Like Brock Purdy got a concussion doing the tush push. They don't do it anymore.
Well, Peyton Manning definitely wouldn't have done it.
And they might get specialty players for it,
Yeah, you put Jordan Malata, whatever the tackle's name for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Put him back there and see how that works out.
Yeah, they don't use Lamar Jackson. They use Mark Andrews in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's a $250 million quarterback. Not a good idea.
No. But they're trying to get rid of something, and the only thing I have a problem with is that I can see if you're trying to get rid of something, but you're getting rid of something because only one team does it really well, and it's them. Everyone's trying to copy it; they can't seem to do it well.
Yeah, it was the Packers that put together the anti-tush push.
That's who it is. Yes.
Proposal.
Yeah, so just trying to do that. And
I'm
it's a
glad it wasn't
copycat
the
league.
Giants.
Remember, the Dolphins started the Dolphins are the ones who started the Wildcat, right? Is it called Wildcat?
Yeah, Wildcat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dolphins are the one that started the Wildcat. Everyone was like, "What's going on?" The next thing you know, everybody has that in their package now.
Yep.
So but again, I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem when that I was always taught you can't push a player forward. And it seems like they're pushing a bunch of players forward. Like he's got to do it on his own, and it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, like a defense, you can't jump over, the guy, like field goals or whatever. You can't jump over the center. You can jump over the other side, but you can't abate or aid the guy in defense. But then on offense, pretty much that's what they're doing. They're pushing, or they're grabbing a guy, pull him over. You can't have it both ways.
Right. And then, okay. And let's get some of the Dolphin stuff. And Tyreek Hill, he's going under wrist surgery. By the way, what's going on with Tyreek Hill?
He already had his surgery.
He had a surgery. He wants to get out of there. He must be regretting not continuing his championship run because he left for the money.
Yep. I mean,
and he did good. Don't get me wrong, his first year, but you can't complain. You knew where you were. You knew what you were leaving, and then he took a shot, kind of, at Patrick Mahomes when he left.
Yeah. I don't know what's going up. There's not going to be a team out there that's going to pick him up with that contract. We would eat millions. And we can't just let them go like that because we'd lose $59 million right off the bat, basically.
Yeah, you guys can't do that. You need to still play. You guys were pretty close. I really thought you guys were you were there in the running these last couple of years, and then injuries just really hurt you, right? And
It
I thought
sounds like Tyreek might have walked back his comments a little bit. I know he's originally said, "I'm out." But it sounds like he's kind of made some comments say he wants to stay there.
Yeah, he had made comments that he wants to stay. To me, it's one way or another, but there's no one's going to pick him up with that contract, and so we're going to be stuck with him no matter what.
exactly. Well, that contract and the attitude he's portrayed over the last couple of years, right? You didn't see that much at Kansas City, so for him to come here and I love seeing him play, but with him now wanting to trade, want to go somewhere else, and just he just causes too much hoopla. Byron, I understand you did a mock draft. What's your top 10 picks?
Oh, well, it's going to be changed after talking to Mr. Dave here. I got a Duke, Carter, Tennessee, Cleveland, Cam Ward, the Giants, Travis, New England Patriots, a receiver from Arizona, McMillan, Jacksonville, a corner from Texas, Jaden Barron, Las Vegas Raiders, Michigan, the defensive tackle, Graham. The Jets need offensive tackle because they're losing both of their tackles. Will Campbell for now. I'm going to definitely change that. Carolina Panthers, Missouri wide receiver Luther Burden, because you always need a receiver for the quarterback. New Orleans Saints, since Sean Payton likes gadget stuff and tight ends. I figured Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, which is probably too high, and the Chicago Bears would select the offensive tackle Josh Simmons, even though he got the knee injury late in the season. But everything's subject to change quickly.
Yeah, well, if Jackson Dart's doing what he was saying, they have him slide to go into Pittsburgh. If he's as good as you say, that would help him out. But then again, you don't know where the Aaron Rodgers saga is going to go to, right? Because of Aaron Rodgers is going to play another year. That's for sure.
Why?
Does anyone here think he's going to retire? You think he's going to retire, Byron?
Why?
I don't think he wants to go out the way he went out. And look, he actually had a pretty decent year on a really lousy team.
Yeah, but all that stuff.
28 touchdowns, 11 interception. He still threw for 3,800 yards.
But all the stuff that he did, he brought it on himself. All the off the field stuff.
I understand, but he's still going to play somewhere else. I mean, he's still got a little bit in him, and he could be that. He could be that 1 year injection. Like if the Rams lose, if Matthew Stafford leaves, he'd be a good 1 year plug in for now because they got a good team. Their defense is solid, right? They got some great receivers. They were an offensive lineman mistakes away from making it to the Super Bowl because they were coming down the drive. They were about to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, what's going to be the biggest domino for the quarterback market is going to be Sam Darnold. Do the Vikings let him go? Do they tag and trade him? Do they just tag him, keep him? Because if Sam Darnold hits the market, he's going to go somewhere, and you have different places. There's the Pete Carroll connection with the Raiders. I don't think he goes to any of the New York teams. I think he's probably scared of that market. But does he go with Stefanski and the Browns? Does he, try to appease Myles Garrett and give him a win now piece? Does he go to Tennessee? I think Pittsburgh would be an interesting spot for Darnold. And then where does Russell Wilson go? So it's going to be that domino is going to have musical chairs following after it. And, Justin Fields is a free agent quarterback. Daniel Jones, the Giants can look at Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones, reportedly,
that's not even funny.
Reportedly, the Steelers are interested in Daniel Jones. They have him, kind of a Ryan Tannehill type in that Arthur Smith offense. And they could, draft someone like Jackson Dart to go behind Jones. Kind of that's what I've heard. Jameis is out there. Russell Wilson Kirk Cousins. He's
Jameson
familiar
Winston?
with Stefanski.
Jameson.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's out there.
A lot of
Well,
quarterbacks.
we need a good backup quarterback down here, that's for sure.
Yeah, you do. You definitely need a good backup. Well, okay. Ronnie Brown. They're going back to the Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams on the chat. All righty. So, Byron, that's what you have, right, so far? All right, so we'll
Something
see.
could change.
We'll see what happens. Good luck in the draft. And David, how can people get a hold of you?
At Dynasty Dorks, you can find me on X or TikTok, and appreciate you guys having me.
Will you be updating us on X on what's happening in the draft?
Yeah. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a big day. I get to meet Jack. I'm not gonna meet him, but the first wave of players for the media is gonna be Jackson Dart's gonna be in there 8:00, and then Cam Ward and Shador Sanders are at the 9:00. So it's gonna be an exciting day. Running backs, quarterbacks, and receivers tomorrow, and big fantasy football guys. So I'm excited.
How many games did Jackson Dart play?
How many games? I'm not sure.
I'm looking him up now. He beat Eli Manning's record, so he had to play a lot.
Yeah,
You could tell that all the quarterbacks that played a lot of games are the ones that are doing well in the NFL right off the bat. The guys that are one and done, they're not performing as well.
He played at USC, and then whenever Caleb Williams transferred over, he had to transfer out. So he went with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. But yeah, he's got quite a few starts. He's still 21. He's not like a older prospect. Good size, and like I said, in that offense at Ole Miss, they had a good receiver there. Trey Harris is a good receiver, but that offense was cooking, and he was he was slinging it.
Okay, awesome. And Papa Park, tell us a little bit about the WCFL Dolphin.
WCFL Dolphins Talk. We're on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Find us all over.
Awesome. So you could find the link in our show. You hit the Strava. You have the link both to David's podcast, Papa Paul's podcast. Please hit the link. Check out their show. You got some great information. Follow them on X. They all have great shows and get more information. Mr. Byron Jones heading to his Poconos or his every 3-week vacation.
Yes.
Must be nice to be retired. Must be nice to be retired and have all these places to go to.
All over the place.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Jones, and the family. Say hello to the family. All right, well, gentlemen, don't forget we are live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. Streaming on your podcast. On X, please follow us. Hit the smash button. Papa Paul, it's always a pleasure. David, we'd love to have you back on our show again. Talk a little bit more about the Giants, if we can, because I get misery when I get to the Giants. People come on our show and they're such in shock on how real Byron and I are about the team. Like, we're literally just saying, no, they're just bad. Like, there's no confusion. Like, it is what it is. We're still proud fans. I wasn't proud of what I saw over the last couple of years from the organization. We're still proud fans. But, gentlemen, God bless you and your family. Thank you for joining our show, Papa Paul. It's always good to see you. Come back again. Dave, we'd like to have you back again. And Mr. Jones, as always, you're the best. And say hello to the family. Take care. Have a good night. Peace.